Right, what I've got here is another kit from the wacky world of Banggood, and I've ordered a fair few of these recently, I don't even know which one this is, to be quite honest, so this will be exciting. So let's open it up and have a look. Have a look at the paperwork. What have we got here? Just a digital LCD clock. So let's have a quick look at what this is all about. A whole bunch of components. Have a look at those in a moment. As is typical, USB-A to a jack for the power. That's fine. That little bundle will be the clear acrylic case with the paper backing on it. And I also see in there a PCB. So we're going to have to crack that one open fairly early on. And here is the important bit, the LCD itself, which is a normal liquid crystal display. So we're talking about mono here. You can see it's blue in colour and is going to be blue backlit. So that's what our display will be all about. Okay, and finally a couple of socketed ICs, the typical STC ICs. So yeah, that's okay. Nice that they're socketed, no surface mount here. I do not believe we have any surface mount parts. Let's open up all the components. Now, that's a nice change. There's the battery backup, CR1220. I'm finding a lot of kits these days are not coming with a battery. In fact, I had to order a load of CR1220s a little while ago. They're not hugely expensive, but the trouble is if you make up your kit and find you haven't got a backup battery with it, it's a little annoying because you've got to wait for a battery to arrive if you haven't already got one. Anyway, so that's good. What else have we got here? That's the battery holder. Again, typical stuff. We've got the nuts and bolts to make up the case. So pop those to one side because they will be the last thing that we shall need. What have we got? We've got a trimming pot there, which is 103. I can't remember what the value of that is. It probably might be 10k, something like that. I don't know. So a trimming pot. There's the jack for the power. We have a connecting strip, which one assumes will connect the LCD with the PCB board, which I'll crack out shortly. And there's the other side of it. We have 3 resistors, not sure what the value of those is, and a couple of push-to-makes, some more nuts and bolts, push-to-make switches, that is. A electrolytic capacitor, 16 volts, so off camera there, quite a small one, 100 microfarad. There we go, positive positive, negative leads, negative you know because it's got the minus sign pointing to it, so that's easy enough. Another push to make, screws, a couple of, or a few capacitors. Let's have a look. These are numbered at 10, that one's numbered 104. I'm conscious that the lighting is appalling here. Well, let's see if I can make things a bit better. There we go. 104. What's this one? That's a... I cannot read anything on that one. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, 22. And another 22. So we do have the instructions, which is a diagram of the PCB and component list, and between the two, the only thing that we really need to work out from that, because let's be honest, there's not an awful lot here in terms of components to judge where everything goes, is what they're calling non-polar capacitors. So 0.1 microfarad and two 22 puffs, and C6 and C7. There's C7, and can't quite see C6 yet. I'm sure it's there somewhere. Is that it there? Don't know. C6 there. Okay, so one there, which means that the other resistor goes in the other hole, wherever that is. But I've got the wrong glasses on at the moment, so anyway, so it's going to be easy enough to build without having to dig any deeper. And on this side, we've got all the instructions on debugging. So what are they saying? Pay attention to the direction of the IC. What I'm looking for is if there is any test points, such as testing voltages, but it doesn't look like it. Careful not to put the battery on the clock chip again. It will result in the destroy of the clock chip fever. Forever, I would suggest that means. Anyway, there you go, and it's got the instructions on how to set the time and everything. So that's good. Okay, so that's the display. A little bit different to what I'm normally used to. And oh, what's that one? What have we got here? That is that a diode or is that a thermistor? I think that is probably a thermistor, which suggests it has the ability to, yeah, thermistor. So again, polarity doesn't matter with that. And finally, the evil sounding buzzers that always come with these kits, so that they can make annoying sounds at you and make you scream and shout and throw across the room, wrecking all your work. Remove seal after washing. Okay, so going to have a bath before I install that. Okay, so just saying on here, it's got a light sensor. I didn't see anything like a photoelectric cell at all. There's the battery, unless there's a light sensor somewhere on the main clock board, but you can see there's obviously a couple of chips there, which are just potted to protect them. That's okay. The actual construction of this chip looks quite nice. You can see that all the resistors, let's put it the right way up, all the resistors are surface mount and they're already installed, which is fine. I could have quite happily installed those, but they've done that already. I imagine this is just a standard part that they've used for putting this particular device together. So that's all very straightforward. I'm just trying to see if there's anything that would suggest a light sensor here. Possibly, I don't know. I don't know. You're probably screaming at me now saying, yes there is. Oh, and a crystal. What else? It's just, oh, there it is. Here we go. Photoelectric cell. So I would imagine that is for dimming the display, or possibly even turning it, or turning the backlight off when it gets dark. But I imagine it's just dimming. So that should be interesting. And it's nice that it comes with a case. Let's have a quick look at the the main PCB. I'll open this up. So there's all the parts for the case. We'll get on to that later. And right, so there we go. And this is all fairly straightforward. Like I say, we've got the locations for the two main ICs socketed, noting the pin 1 positions will be here. Resistors, there's the two capacitors, there'll be the 22 puff ones that go in there. I'm guessing that'll be the electrolytic. That's the battery holder. That will be the, what will that be? Oh, that will be the loud, that will be the buzzer. I think LS stands for loudspeaker. And that will be the multi-connector, and so on and so forth. So all pretty straightforward stuff. As that's where the power jack will go. So that shouldn't take too long to construct at all. Everything's through hole, so nice and easy. So what I'll do, rather than make you watch me solder this beastie, which will take a little while, obviously, I will construct it and then show you the finished article. So we'll be back in a bit. Okay, just a bit of an update. I have installed the variable resistor, which is, I'm trying to see which one it was. I think it was at R, I can't remember, is it R, it says R17 there. Adjustable, is it? Yeah, that is a 10K. That is a 10K. I've been very careful not to move the position of that resistor, because I don't know whether or not it has a user adjustable point to it, if that makes sense, or whether or not it's set by them for a particular position. So I'm going to leave that as it is, and I'm looking at the instructions and I couldn't see anything about that. I tell a lie. Okay, that resistor is for adjusting the contrast of the LCD screen. Bearing in mind that this is LCD and not LED. So that is for adjusting the contrast. Okay, so that's that one. So the two 22 puff capacitors go there, 0.1 microfarad capacitor there, and the three 10K resistors. The components that I haven't installed yet are the photoelectric cell, that one, and the thermistor, that one. Two reasons for that. With the thermistor, usually with these kits, they are positioned outside the case so that the sensitivity of the thermistor is not impacted by any heat or created within the case. So it's quite possible there is a hole in the case for that thermistor to pop through. Likewise with the photoelectric cell, because this illuminates, whether the position of this needs to be in a particular place, I don't know. Probably not actually thinking about it, because I'm not entirely sure how I think what's going to happen is that will it be like that? I would think that would kind of make sense. So when we install the connecting pieces, these guys, to connect these two boards together, we'll have the LCD at the front and the components at the back, which would make sense, so you can get at that contrast adjusting pot. So actually the photoelectric cell, and I'm just trying to light sensor R5, so resistor 5, so it actually goes there, which interestingly enough is not going to fit on directly. Well, it probably will do just about, but there's not an awful lot of room between that 10k resistor, which admittedly could be bent back away a bit, for that to get into. So whether that needs to be sort of elevated a bit towards the edge of the case, but until I get the case apart, I'm not entirely sure. So we will persevere. The next thing I think I shall do is install the ICs, and we'll go from there. Okay, further update. Got the electric capacitor installed. And you see that's negative side there. Got the two ICs plugged into their respective sockets, and the sockets are all soldered in. And that's the rear of the board, so you can get some light on it. Oops. Cameras, lights, all sorts of things in a way. There's my horrible soldering. Actually, it's not too bad, even if I do say so myself. So that's that. And the photoelectric cell and the thermistor are installed. I checked out on the website, the Banggood website, looked at the photographs, and there is indeed a cutout in the case for both the thermistor and the photoelectric cell to look through, as it were. And the thermistor has to be a little bit higher up, so it's away from the case, and is, I guess, generally more picking up the true room temperature. That's the idea there. So what we've got left is these components to go on the main board. So we have, if I can find all of them, yeah, we've got the 3 momentary switches, the power supply jack, and the buzzer. So I'll get those installed, and then the next thing to install will be the connecting pieces to plug the two boards together. And I haven't decided yet which one should go on which side. So, for example, should this piece go on the back here, or would it be better that it lives on the LCD board like that? I don't know is the answer. I'm kind of thinking, actually it wouldn't be like that, would it? It would be like that. I'm kind of thinking it goes on the LCD board, but I'll have another look at the website and see what they've done. It doesn't, I suppose it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but doing it the way they've done it is probably the way to go. So that's the next step, these guys and the connectors, and we'll take it from there. So back in a minute. Okay, so I have now got the 3 momentary switches soldered in, power jack, speaker. One of the things that I did get wrong originally was this crystal. I had it soldered vertically, but actually it needs to be bent down onto this plate and then soldered to the plate as well. So fortunately I had left just enough of the pins for that to happen, so bear that in mind. Now, so the next thing to do is the connectors, and I did look at the photographs on Banggood and I couldn't really tell how they'd done it, but I think the way to go is to actually use the open pin side, if you like, or the male side, and these shorter pins go into the LCD board, because by using those shorter pins they don't protrude through to the LCD screen side. any great extent, which will mean that the female connector will go there, like that, and that will allow the two boards to plug together like that. So I'm going to go and solder those up, and I think we will then be in a position to power it on as a test. And then after that, assuming it doesn't go up in smoke, which I'm guessing there's every possibility of, then we can start building the case. Right, so the connectors are now fitted. So the main block, the female block, has gone on to the main circuit board, and the male block has gone on to the LCD board. So, with that in mind, all we need to do now is connect the two together, like that. And the case will make it a lot sturdier. You can see it sort of flapping in the wind a bit there. But for the moment that'll do, because I want to see if this beastie will now work. So there's the power supply there. There's my USB cable. I'm just going to use a power bank to actually power it up in the first instance. Yep, that's fully charged at any rate. So there we go. Will we get smoke or will it work? So let's plug it in and see what happens. Oh, well, we have sound. But we don't seem to have vision. So I can't see anything on screen. So we may have a problem somewhere, but I can't immediately see where. That is interesting. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to check the instructions and see what they say, and I will come back. Right, okay, well, the problem was not a problem. It was just the contrast was set at the wrong position, so it was basically like that, and it needed to be like that. You can see the contrast altering, so all is well. Obviously the date and time are wrong. I suspect that temperature is wrong as well, but I expect there's a calibration for it. So it worked first time. Brilliant. So that's fine. It's a very straightforward kit really. You can see the light emitting from the side there, from the backlight, which is fine. Okay, so the next thing to do is to work out how to put together the case, which I will do next. It's going to take a little while because the big problem with it is peeling all this protective paper off, which is a pain because I usually stuck on pretty good, but once you get one going, there we go. And incidentally, this particular part of the case I've got on my hand now has got that square, and that is where the thermistor and the photoelectric cell will pop through. So that will be something like that. So let me build this up. One of the things I believe is that the brass spacers go in between the boards like this, one at each corner, with a, well, that's fallen out, but you get the idea, screw and nut holding them together, and that's what will give rigidity between the two boards, and then the case is built around it. So I'm not going to adjust the clock or anything just yet. I'm going to build up the case, put it all together, and we'll go from there. Okay, well, I've got the case all built up. As you can see, you've got the brass spaces which keep the two boards separated with a screw at each end. You can see on this corner here and there inside the case, and then the case itself is held together with just 4 bolts or screws like that. Interesting enough, there isn't a nut. Instead, the screw or bolt screws into the rear plastic plate, and it's got like a star shape in it. And what the screw does, it basically acts like a self-tapping screw into the star-shaped plastic rather than a nut, which I'm not sure if I prefer to have a nut there or this idea, but the nice idea of this is that there is no nut protruding out of the back of the case. But I'll see if I can get that in focus for you. And you can see there, yeah, I'm not a great fan of that idea, but it saves a few nuts, I suppose. But there we go, that's the completed kit. You can see that there's cutouts so you can adjust the contrast, relevant cutouts for the 3 buttons. That's a set button, that's what they call the add button, which is basically changing the time and so on and so forth, and then exit, which gets you back out. And just quickly show you how that works. You press the set button and you see that a cursor has appeared under the year. Press set again and the cursor moves along, so that is the 20th of September 2017. So if I wanted to change the month, I'd move over to the add button and just press until I got the month that I want. I'll move it back to where it was, because it was correct. So you just press the add button and the cursor moves along. There's the time, and then you press it again, you get into alarm, time, alarm, set alarm time, and it moves so you can switch the alarm on and off like that. I've got it off, and it moves on to on time alarm. Quite sure there's obviously 2 alarms there, and just press the set button, it moves along. Then it's got a brightness option, so it goes from 1 to 10. I'm going to leave it on the brightest setting, and then it goes on to whether you want 12 or 24-hour clock. I want 24, so I'll press set again, and that's it. If you didn't want to go through all of those, all you need to do is press that 3rd button, which is the exit button, and it will just save and exit there. I'm liking this. I think it's nice. The display is very readable, very clear. The fact that it came with a case was nice. Sometimes they don't, but more often than not they do. It was also supplied with a backup battery, which is, you know, no big deal, but it's you know, it's a nice touch to make sure that the backup battery is supplied so you can get on and build your kit, and it's there finished at the end of the evening. So this was just an evening's work. And all is good. There's the photoelectric cell. Be interesting to see what that does. I presume that it will dim the display. I haven't tested that out yet, but at any rate, there's a thermistor. I seriously doubt the accuracy of that temperature, as is always the case with all of these, but it might be able to adjust. I'll have to have a look into that. But other than that, yeah, that's a cracking little kit. I enjoyed making that. So there we have it. That is the digital LCD clock from Banggood. I'll pop a description, or sorry, a link into the description, so you can go and have a look yourself, or just search for digital LCD clock kit in the search bar at Banggood and get yourself one. I don't think it was all that expensive. They usually aren't. But yeah, a little bit different, and it was a nice kit to build. All fairly straightforward, all through hole components. Any surface mount was part of the LCD display, and that was already done. So yeah, really enjoyed making that one. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I've got some other kits to build, and we'll see what they're all about in the coming weeks, no doubt. Until then, thanks for watching. Cheers for now.